You can always get better in life, innit? Okay.
Is a dog, is a rabbit.
But the mastery of that is that it's not about whether you see the dog or the rabbit. It's about us all seeing the same thing.
So it is completely about whether you see the dog or the rabbit.
No, but the point is it doesn't matter whether it doesn't matter. It's not about the dog
You're
and the
just
rabbit.
seeing the same thing from different perspectives.
Yeah. But
Wait, what was the point of that again?
As in, the point of that is that...
So we're both seeing the same picture, but we both interpret different things.
He's saying all that matters is, I don't care whether you see the dog or the rabbit, it matters that we all collectively see the same thing. If I see the dog and you see the rabbit, we've got an issue. But if we both see the rabbit, that's all that matters. Doesn't matter whether it is a dog or a rabbit. That's irrelevant.
I'd say that I totally get the point he's trying to make. I think you could be really facetious in that kind of scenario, though, and go, dogs bark and rabbits don't. Or, like, if I see a dog and you see a rabbit, it would be, those are two. His point lands. That's all that matters.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to, what are we going to call this? Alex and Laurence talk about football or something?
No one asked for it, and yet here it is.
Actually, that's not true. People have asked for it.
There were 5.
There were 5 of you. Loz and I are here to talk. I actually wrote a little.
Go on, read it.
Ready?
Yeah, ready. And
join 2 buddies, Alex and Loz, for a wonderful, wacky weekly take on the goings on in the beautiful game. Expect laughs, learnings, and a good pinch of fun.
Did you get ChatGPT to write that?
No, I wrote that. What do you reckon?
You wrote that.
Yeah,
you managed to write something that sounds like AI wrote it.
I think anyone listening could write like ChatGPT. The question is, could ChatGPT write like anyone else?
Well, according to Ben Affleck, no. And apparently Ben Affleck is a genius when it comes to AI.
Well, did you see the clip of him? He predicted like Netflix and all those sorts of things. He was saying like there'll be like not he didn't predict the name Netflix, but like the sort of the actual mechanics of how Netflix works. And so everyone's saying, okay, well, he's now saying this thing about AI. So
a man who works in the industry, has the inside track, and is regularly probably told things by other industry buddies went, yeah, we'll probably stream things one day. And everyone went, no way.
Do you ever worry you're too cynical?
I don't think I just think I watched the clip of him talking about AI and I went, yeah.
I mean, I kind of share it, but like, I think it's different for you and I to say it, and then like Ben Affleck, like I feel like his word holds a bit more weight. You know what I mean?
Are we the Ben Affleck and Matt Damon of football?
I would say we're sort of looks wise as well, certainly, yeah.
What if we wrote the Goodwill Hunting of
Good William
of
Saliba
football?
Hunting?
So that's good. Okay, is there a player? There's got to be a player with Hunt in his name. I think it was Stuart Hunt or Stephen Hunt.
Who was the guy on FIFA? Alex Hunter. Maybe
Alex Hunter. That was
pick up that storyline and go with
Can I just say the actor? I know this sounds really mean. I didn't like the way he spoke, so it really put me off playing the game.
Yeah. No, I hear that.
Yeah.
He was. It felt
I don't think he was realistic.
A bit incongruous. He was like. It was like he was an actor, and everyone else was a sort of normal person. Yeah.
I saw too much of the BTS before I played it, and it just made me think of him only as an actor. That was the problem. But yeah, anyway.
I hear it.
Hey, here we are. Alex has got some charts for us. In the next hour, we will be going through these charts.
I do have charts. I want to talk about first goals. I want to talk about FB Ref. Because I genuinely think it's quite a big moment in sort of football. I was going to say football media, but I think in football that sort of fans don't have access to as well. I wouldn't say in depth, because obviously there's much deeper stats that are available. But like for fans, it was the deepest you could go. We'll talk about the weekend fixtures, of course, and the goings on. But Laurence, it wouldn't be a podcast if we didn't talk about the soup du jour, Brooklyn Beckham.
Oh,
we don't have to do this. We don't have to do this.
No. Can we talk about it for a second? Because I know a lot of people don't have any sympathy for him, or for Brooklyn, or for David, or for Victoria, or for don't remember his wife's name, and that's kind of also that.
Nicola.
I think that's indicative of the situation here, isn't it?
Nicola Peltz.
Peltz. I wanted to say Feltz like Vanessa, but it wasn't. Okay. I think that what I took from this, you know, when I was really exploring my thoughts, when I did the meditation on it,
yeah.
I took, no matter how much money you have, no matter how much privilege people want to talk about, you still just need the basics in life, and you still just need a decent relationship with, you know, one parent or another, or you need some sort of figure there, and money can't solve all those issues. So it might feel really good, and it might maybe delay some of those reactions, but ultimately, really what he's doing is in public saying, I needed a parent and I didn't get that.
Yeah. I think it's quite an archetype. Yeah, it's quite like an archetypal story.
Yes,
story.
Yeah.
Like
Actually,
it's a story, and it kind of, not to sort of make it about me, but I sort of had a similar-ish, in a very, very different scale, experience with my parents, where like I felt as though, and I use this. This isn't good for an audio platform, but like this analogy of like the hands going from this relationship to that relationship, where you're not underneath or scared or reliant or whatever it is. There's no power dynamic. You're literally just together. And also together can look like enmeshed, but actually the best version is you're together. There is separation, but you're side by side.
Yeah.
And I can imagine, because they're kind of probably both right in the sense that, you know, you've had that relationship for however many years. At some point, the child has to do that. And I think almost every single, as a dad, I'm sure you're conscious of this. Every child is slowly pulling away from that reliance, and that sort of experience of that for a parent must be really hard, because you have to allow the child to come next to you. But if you're David Beckham and you're Victoria Beckham and you've given millions and opportunities, that process must be a lot harder. And I suppose also for Brooklyn Beckham, that process of doing that when your father is David Beckham is so hard. So that normal tension of me with my mum that's not playing out in public with millions is massively changed. And it's also pretty archetypal of the sort of the mother and the new daughter-in-law.
The Oedipal thing is going
classic.
On there.
Yeah.
And I think it's made worse by the fact that a lot of men, when they were younger, and comedians who are probably covering this, because I do think comedians have been particularly brutal to him, have like an outside crush on Victoria Beckham, and maybe still think in some capacity they could sleep with her, or kind of, you know, do something like that. And I just think it's hard for me to talk about it and not trivialize it, because it feels they feel like products to us almost. They feel like people that we can do those kind of things with. But the sad aspect, I think, is that, you know, there's someone there who's really sad. There is someone who's devastated that they didn't get the wedding dance they wanted. And I know we're all focusing on the mum and talking about grinding or whatever, but actually it's really about, can you just be mum and be the right mum and be the parent that I need you to be? And I think a lot, it's kind of interesting also that a lot of other stuff has kind of come out in the wash here. And I got to admit, I wasn't quite sure why he brought up the dancing thing. I thought his point was strong without the dance. I thought the dancing, it felt like something that he felt very humiliated over, or kind of that someone else had said, and it had really stuck with him.
Yeah.
And maybe he'd mulled on it or kind of dwelled on it, and that went in. Yeah. And I got to admit, it made me think the PR person probably hadn't read it, and maybe he had just gone out there and posted it and run it past someone else. And it's very complex, isn't it? I think, also, what's David Beckham's legacy now? Does the Grease thing still count?
It does. It does, doesn't it? Did you see Joe Barton's thing on this? I despise Joe Barton.
No one ever thought,
I despise Joe Barton.
Joe Barton thinks of this shitstorm.
It's at least quite funny. You know that thing of like sort of horrible people can occasionally be quite funny. Like it is quite humorous. Although
the Laurence McKenna story. You know,
there's the clip. But yeah, sort of two things. I think firstly, I agree on this. Like the statement itself is like you could get what you need out of that, which is I don't want to, like, I'm confirming all the rumors, and I don't want to sort of reconcile with my family. You don't need to add the extra stuff. Like, you can just know that felt vindictive, and that's going to be painful.
And then the photography and the chef and all of that stuff, that didn't help him either. I think a lot of people then sort of came back and went, well, you wouldn't have any of these opportunities if it wasn't for X, Y, Z. And I did think, well, I wouldn't really care if it wasn't for X, Y, Z. But I also thought, but he has had these opportunities. And for some weird reason, I really keep thinking of that elephant.
But it kind of got me thinking, has there been... in our generation, and I guarantee I'll ask this question, I can't think of it, and you'll give me an answer straight away. Has there been a footballer, like of David Beckham's fame, who ever had a son who even came close football-wise? Because I'm even thinking, like, right now, like Liam Delap, is he going to be more famous than Rory Delap, I suppose? To some degree?
I think he's more famous in the sense that there's probably more people who've seen him.
Yeah.
But I think I sort of regard fame in a slightly different way, because I think fame would be more like, who's going to buy you a drink in a bar? And I think Rory Delap can walk into more bars in New York and get a drink bought for him than the other way around.
I would not know what Rory Delap looks like.
But I think if he walked into a football bar or something, I know you're Googling him now, but if he walked into a bar or something in New York, then you'd probably be able to get more drinks or whatever than someone else.
He looks like if you AI generated a mid-2000s footballer.
No, literally, yeah. And and then add a towel.
Yeah,
that was what he was.
But like, I think like Van Persie's son, Shaquille. Like, I just think it's like, Shaquille. I'm sure there's some kind of
Shaq.
Again, archetypal noose pulling down type thing. But like, I can't think of a
Zidane, maybe?
Anchor. Yeah, but his son. I can't think of a father who was a very famous footballer who then had a son who was even more. Let's forget fame, success. Like, success as a footballer, and then precipitated. It must be just the weight of it.
Phil and Gary Neville.
Neville.
Yeah. I would say play? Phil for some. I don't think so, but I always think of Phil as Gary's son, and I don't know why.
He sort of is, don't we? Aren't we all?
He sort of is. Roy Keane, no. Haaland.
Okay.
Haaland is one. Haaland's the one. Yeah.
That's
Haaland
a good shout. That's a great shout.
Yeah. Sorry, I think a lot of people would probably have been shouting.
Would have been shouting that. Yeah, that's fair. But I think it's sort of few and far between, which is interesting, because you'd think also,
for sure,
with the success of the like, you'd have so much access, but then does it take away like the love? I don't know.
Weah. Although I think Haaland's more famous than Weah, but isn't Timothy Weah and the
George Weah was more successful though?
No, way more successful. But I'm just thinking out loud here rather than anything else.
Yeah.
Scott Carson's got to have a son who's a great fourth goalkeeper.
Surely. But even if Scott Carson's son plays for, like, just Middlesbrough, just a decent career, you take it, wouldn't you?
Scott Carson was Liverpool's first choice goalkeeper for a little while. I think people do forget that.
We do. The Premier League fixtures, Laurence.
Good chat.
Good chat. Yes. Brooklyn Beckham. Tick. West Ham United versus Sunderland. Burnley versus Spurs. Fulham versus Brighton. City versus Wolverhampton Wanderers. Good Lord. AFC Bournemouth against Liverpool on Saturday. Any of those fixtures stand out to you? What are we predicting for City Wolves? 15-0?
I think he's definitely going to get there. I think Wolves felt like they were on the turn for a little while, and then it sort of dropped away, didn't it?
Do you know who I like? The Mane. Mateus Mane, is that his first name? I've only seen him play a couple times.
Yeah, yes.
He's got...
Anyone who's got Mane in the name.
He's got something that I think a lot of footballers... that we maybe underrate in footballers. Sorry, mate.
Sorry, it's not actually my phone. My wife actually plugged it in just next to me, so...
Okay.
Sorry, good. Keep going.
He's got something that I think are like a lot of footballers... Maybe we underrate in football. The first touch, especially when he's on the run, is so good. When he gets the ball, and it's like every touch sets him up. It's really, really good.
I also think he, how can I put it? Like, the danger which he kind of feels, or like that you see when he's on the ball. I think that's the one thing that I really judge a player by. They call it gravity in the NBA, and I don't know if you have the same thing in football. But in the NBA, they've actually started to be able to quantify the pull of a player. And I'm really kind of looking forward to the time when we can work out the pull of a Premier League player. They call it gravity, basically, is how many people get sucked towards that player.
Yeah.
And how, essentially, judging how dangerous they are on the ball.
There was one about Gyökeres recently.
Same with football.
There was one about space with Gyökeres recently when it was like he's got like the least space out of any player when he's on the ball. So maybe there is a metric, but that would be really interesting to see.
I was also wondering, I think in football it's obviously, I don't know, maybe it is slightly different. Maybe gravity is also not the best way to judge it. But my instant thought when I thought of Gyökeres being on the ball was the idea with Gyökeres is if you pressure him, then he'll mess up. So get close to him and you'll be good. That's what I read whenever I see people playing him, is like, don't give him space because he loves running in space. So if you don't give him the space, he can't operate, essentially.
Yeah, which is, I suppose gravity isn't always necessarily indicative of it's how to defend you rather than like necessarily your quality.
Whereas if you get close to Florian Wirtz, probably you don't want to do that. If you get close, you don't want to go close to Saka. You want to give him a bit of space and let him come to you in the same way as you do with Salah. When you give Salah space, he just kind of runs into you a bit like a wall. Yeah. That's the way that works.
Yeah.
But maybe maybe even then the gravity of him is interesting because you'll still maybe see where the defenses end up or something like that. There is something interesting in that.
Bournemouth Pool, how you feeling?
We just didn't say it. I feel like Liverpool played better in midweek against Marseille. Marseille and the Champions League is very, it's a misrepresentation of where Liverpool are at. It's probably a better representation of where we're at in terms of overall footballing ability because the players don't feel the same pressure they do in the Premier League. Equally, you're allowed more space to play in Europe in general. So Liverpool do tend to perform slightly better. I also think we've just played a lot of names this year. So Marseille, good name. I think they're middle of the pack in terms of
I think they're third.
Yeah, which is sort of, but they're third by about 8 points, I think.
Yeah, I think you're correct. Yeah, they're third by 8 points. Very good.
Wow, that was so they're up there. Yeah, they're third by probably some points of 8. I think that's the other side of that is you sort of need to look at we played Inter and we really made them look average but not amazing, and you played Inter and made them look very average.
I don't know if we did. They did. I think we just last ditch defended quite well. Like we gave up a lot of transitions, and they had a player called Esposito who looks really. He's like 22, 21, something like that, and he looks. He comes on. Mosquera, I think Mosquera has some stuff in his in possession game, but his out of possession game in terms of his physical attributes, recovering, that sort of stuff. He's really strong. He just like holds him and gets a shot off, and I'm like, okay, if you could, when you must have felt at times like when someone does something to Van Dijk and you're like, oh, what? it's like, okay, and I'm not comparing Mosquera to Van Dijk, but when I don't
think that's unreasonable.
You've got physically, I think Mosquera is incredible. There's loads of stuff to add to his game, but physically he's incredible. He came out from an injury and just looks so smooth and anyway, so lovely and just great and just but he looks great. And
did you go too long on screen without complimenting Arsenal or Arteta? That was
it's been 18 minutes. I can't. Yeah. I did do in our little thing earlier. Right? I did do little sort of profiles for us, which I might read out later. One of them is me sucking off Arteta. But yeah, Esposito looked good, and also dealing with the two centre forwards, which was a different system to obviously we naturally play against. But yeah, how do we get here?
I actually, by the way, I also think there have been
cherries.
I also think what I will say is I think Carrick coming in at United and making them look like that has been vaguely damning of quite a few managers currently. And I also think that when you look at, is it Kivu that's gone in at Inter? Yeah. And the way that he has managed to adjust things, there's also kind of a damning nature to some of the way that these new managers are coming in and making things work. I think a lot of people expected Inter to drop off more of a cliff.
Do you buy this thing about like, oh, we've lost all the good managers in the world? Like I saw, I think it was Cams being like, oh, where we haven't got, if you look back in 2017, you had Conte and Pochettino and Pep and Klopp and
Conte still exists.
It doesn't.
Conte, in fact, is doing a great job at Napoli, and
I just think in the Premier League was his point.
Sure. Well, I think we'll look back in a couple of years' time. I'm just going to go through some of these managers. Yeah. We'll see Iraola at the absolute top of English or just European football, I think, somewhere.
Yeah, Glasner.
Glasner will be... I don't know where. It feels like... at one point, it felt like it was Manchester United, but it's not.
Also, I'm sorry, but Thomas Frank's rep right now is the most perfect example of people like just jumping on results. That man has proved himself over and over again with an overperforming Brentford side. Spurs have the most injuries in the league. They still beat Borussia Dortmund. And they're still like 8 points off the Champions League places. I'm not saying he's doing very well. I'm not saying that at all. But this, I've said a couple of times, like, Thomas Frank is a top manager. And you just go, what? Like, bro, he has so much sample. Look at, he has, like, there's like 9 midfielders out at Spurs. What do you expect him to do?
Well, I also think like the predicted lineup this weekend for Spurs is Tell on the left wing, Solanke through the middle, Odegaard on the right, Xavi Simons through the middle. None of those guys fill me with any confidence when it comes to being a kind of a glue player or whatever. Archie Gray, Conor Gallagher, I think is actually... The fact that Conor Gallagher, by the way, went to Spurs, I think was fairly sort of a good signing and also just indicative of maybe where, you know, where Spurs are at. But I think, you know, they're actually got quite a bit of pull. Their back line is absolutely fine. I think you ride the storm with Frank because I don't also think you're going to get a better option.
I don't know. And this is the thing with Spurs. It's like you finished 16th or 17th or whatever it was with 22 losses.
Yeah.
Have some humility. Like, have some humility.
Well, I don't, like, it's, yeah, you're right about the humility aspect of it. I don't know what they're meant to expect of what's going on. I don't know what they think is...
Because that happened, but they also qualified for the Champions League. So it's like, well, I don't know where we are.
Yeah. Well, you've messed that one up. Yeah. And then I think there's Marco Silva's, I think, a top-class manager. I think to an extent, there's a bit of an issue of those managers being able to make the step up to the next level because it is such a congested, low-risk thing. I wouldn't be talking about low-quality managers. I'd be talking about clubs that aren't able to give them that platform at the moment.
I think that's a very, very good point. If I go through...
I agree.
The point you made is always good.
Really good.
If I go through and I was like, could you see this person as Man City manager? Let's say that. Because Man City kind of don't have an identity as a manager. So like it's Pep basically is their thing, right?
Right.
Eddie Howe, I think I could.
I think I could. I've always had my reservations about Eddie Howe, and I think at the moment some of those are sort of coming to fruition.
It wouldn't be outrageous. You wouldn't.
It's not crazy.
If they went, we're going for Eddie Howe now, you'd be like, okay, U-turn, but like quality wise, I can kind of see it. Lebris, I think it's too early. Moyes, I think he just wouldn't reputationally. Marco Silva,
10 years ago.
Marco Silva, I would buy it.
Yeah, I would buy that.
And it would be seen as one of those kind of data-driven, smart appointments. Hertzler is what 15. He'll get there in the end. I
mean, he's literally the same age as you or I think.
He's not the same age as me, but thank you. We're the same age. We're not. Glasner, no, but only because of the style of play.
But he does give you a confidence of that. I think if Glasner went to United, you wouldn't think it was crazy.
Agree. Frank, Frank, like 6 months ago, people would laugh at that now. But Frank, I'm sorry, 6 months ago, if they'd said Thomas Frank's taking over from Pep, everyone would go, okay, that makes sense. Iraola, yes,
I agree.
So you're right. There's so many managers who you could come in and manage that, but there's also, just no movement.
I also think I was kind of interested in running this past you. I am looking at where football is at right now, and I don't really have a great read on it, I don't think. But I'm just looking at what the trends are, how conservative it feels, and what the cancellation of this trend in football is. And part of me wondered whether it goes back to kind of Italian managers, whether there will be, I know there are already many world-class Italian managers, but I was having this conversation with a friend of mine, Jack, and I was like, Carlo Ancelotti will be primed to step into pretty much any of these Premier League jobs and just go, well, yeah. Like if you said I'm sacking Slot tomorrow and someone said Carlo Ancelotti's coming in, I would be so excited to see what he did with this team.
Yes. I love that you name checks your friend because you want people to know you have friends. I think the problem at the minute is So did you see? We're about to do some data. I have to look at some data, and for the same guy, put out some stuff about like the lack of goals from forwards and stuff like that. I think what's happening is basically related to the conversation we just had in terms of like the quality of the managers that are out there. You have some of the best coaching talent in the world, proved by the fact that if they went in and got the Man City job, you go, okay, at like mid to lower mid-table clubs. So like, Iraola is coaching unbelievable man-for-man pressing schemes. Hertzler, Thomas Frank, Oliver Glasner, etc. That's the Premier League right now. I looked up. Goals and forwards are going down. The average defensive line, so the difference between the top and the bottom has decreased. Yep. So basically, every team is not only going after you man-for-man press, but they're pushing up and they're stepping up. And I think what's happened in the last 2 or 3 years, and possibly in the same way that like when Pep came in, the kind of the vogue changed. I think, and I'm sort of working theory because I'm a narcissist. I think it's Arsenal. I think when Declan Rice moves to Arsenal, that's the flip for clubs to go, okay, there's a new vogue coming of if I'm
what's that vogue?
If I'm Palace, I can't go and get Ryan Cherki, but I can go and get Jefferson Lerma, and I can physically go after you. That's what I can do. I can look at the guys who've got the maybe aren't the best technically and maybe aren't the best in terms of biggest names, but we can run with you. And this is a point made to me by someone else the other day. A guy called Jacob. Do you know Jacob Hawley? You get on if you don't.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. Yeah. Oh no, you do. Oh, you've been on Sport Bible. So you don't like him
many times.
He said, if you look at the sort of, there's always players in the league where everyone goes like, oh, they'll get a move.
Yeah.
If you look at 10 downwards, it's like all defenders and defensive midfielders. It's like Elliot 100%. Anderson and like, Sells and all those guys, all goalkeepers, defenders, Baleba, it's all those guys. That's where the talent is in the league right now. So I hear your point about Carlo Ancelotti, but I wonder whether if he came in, would he come up against the mid-block and the way it's going right now and succeed? I don't know. I think he'd find a way.
I still think, obviously he's an Italian manager.
Sack him! Sack Slot!
I mean, if you were offered me Carlo Ancelotti, I would be very interested to see what he'd do.
You'd sack Slot if you were offered Ancelotti. You can guarantee Carlo Ancelotti takes over at Liverpool. Do you sack Slot?
Today?
No, tomorrow.
Yeah.
What do you...
Well, no, just like the mood I'm in right now. Yes. But,
just
obviously...
won the Premier League.
But that's not what I'm saying, though, and that's why I'm kind of caveating with this whole today, right now, in this moment thing, just because it sounds exciting, doesn't it? And I think that in this moment, I feel like... I also think, put it this way, I think a lot of people are going to find a reason to want to sack Slot, and I think the reason is probably not going to be results at the end. I think it's going to be brand of football. And I think the thing is, Carlo Ancelotti is so amorphous that people just go, it's good football.
Amorphous. Without a clearly defined shape or form. What did you say earlier?
That's almost the perfect application of that, isn't it?
It's very good.
Nadir, so I also
Nadir.
Said, yeah, Nadir.
Nadir was the word earlier.
Anyway, I think Liverpool Bournemouth probably draw, which just adds to the pressure because at the moment draws are not wins and draws have never been wins.
This is great analysis. Say that again.
Liverpool draws have never been wins. Whereas before in the Premier League, it was much more preferable to draw. Someone gave me a question the other day.
If you're watching at home, this man has made a career in football media. Just want you to know that. You could do anything.
More as a director than as on screen. Question, if we made 0-0s mean that you got 0 points, how do you think that would change the game?
I think... I quite like the idea of half points. I do quite like that idea, just because I'd like to see something different.
Very messy.
I don't think it'd work. I think this is just a bit of a response. Basically, if you look at, I've actually got some data on this. I've got some data.
What if, by the way, you got points for beating? What if the points were weighted? Ooh, towards how difficult the game was,
like away goals type thing.
No, more like Wolves beat City, they get 6 points. Don't like it, do you?
Don't like it.
Don't like that.
So this is the thing. So this is goal scoring rates from the Times and Opta. They were at a crazy level in like 2022.
Yeah.
And they've actually just reverted back to the mean. And I think the nil-nils, it's I think the next slide? There's another slide where he talks about goals from forwards. So I think it's a combination of the fact that next slide, please. It's a combination that the forwards have stopped scoring. But like, look at this. Was anyone calling for like, nil-nils to count for something? I think we just want more goals and excitement because we're all addicted to our phones, basically.
So first of all, the analysis, I totally agree. I wanted to bring up this conversation during this podcast. My question to you was going to be, are we in some way ruining the product of the Premier League by overanalyzing absolutely everything and basically just saying it's all rubbish and kind of putting other things down? In the same way as last season, you had your fun with, you're only winning sort of a mediocre season. There are a load of people now going, Arsenal are only winning the Premier League because, by default, if that makes sense. Not on camera. So do you know what I mean? And I think they're sort of ruining the product of the Premier League by saying these things. And I think but wouldn't reminded this period of that era.
Wouldn't this period loss be the point that if you caught someone in the street and they said, "Oh yeah, the Prem's just got boring now," when would they reference?
So
they would reference
point
this era
more. But my point. So first of all, I keep referencing weirdly that era right now. I keep saying about 20 years ago, 04, 05 is what I keep thinking of. But what I do think about the Premier League and what I think is kind of people get a bit lost in the source of the stats. They think the stats therefore tell the story. And I think they do tell a story. But I think the reality with this is that we impose our own story. And back then, tension was just such a big thing in these games. It was so tense to watch Rafa Benitez versus Jose Mourinho. And that kind of, who would make a mistake, who would blink, who in the game would, miss their man or whatever it was and get the better of someone else. And it led to a lot of 1-0s and all these kind of things. But back then the tension was really high and you'd be very invested in the game. But I think the storytelling was just so different. And also back then there wasn't the same way for me to share resource with other people. So the overall media landscape was much more, this is the story. What's your thoughts on the story?
I do hear that, but I think also you have to account for nostalgia and you have to account for, you look back on that and you think, you remember the feeling of tension. But I even think back on 23, 24 and I'm like, man, what a time. But you can go find my tweets in that time, like the contemporary stuff during that time. And it's like, Arsenal aren't doing this and we need to sign this player. You're never happy. Yeah. So I think, I'm not saying
I was very happy.
I'm not necessarily, yeah, exactly, because you were, what were you at that point, 40? So you're never. It's not that you're wrong about the shortcomings of the league,
but
it's just I think that it has to be tempered by the fact that, of course, 20 years ago you're gonna remember the good stuff and kind of how great the league was.
No, but it's not even about the good stuff. I don't think it was all that good. I don't think the football was all that brilliant. I do think Chelsea were very good in that time. I think Liverpool were good in 04, 05. I thought we were mediocre. In fact, we were a mediocre team. I also think that back then, Manchester United were much more dominant. And so it was much more, there was almost this narrative that people lent into about the dominance of Manchester United back then. Now, if there's a team that's dominant or a bit like Arsenal, people are almost were more accepting of that back then. So there was much more of United are just dominant and that's really good because it's pure and right and righteous.
I firstly think that is slightly post hoc. And secondly, I think because and this is like Jamie O'Hara made this point I'd be a
sorry, what did you just say?
Jamie O'Hara made this brilliant point that he'd be a brilliant Premier League player right now. The problem is he's getting that off certain markers, right? He's getting that off.
Which ones?
No, but off as in the league.
Man, you've nailed it. What other markers have we got? What else can I find? You once played in a football kit. I have kits.
The markers.
Biggest radio show in Europe.
Is it?
No, it's what you've not seen the dating clip where he goes.
Oh yeah. So good.
The one thing I'm going to tell you is,
we should get one.
And I'm part of one of the most successful teams.
That should be the aim for this podcast: is get him on the show. The markers for what a good Premier League season is, or whatever, used to be a certain bracket of clubs doing really well, right? So he's thinking about and like loads of goal scorers, Van Nistelrooy scoring. Like his markers are like certain, loads of centre forwards scoring loads of goals. The feeling that there's a big gap between the top and the bottom. All this, so there's certain markers that are giving him the indication of what is a good Premier League season. So he's looking at this and going, instead of going, are they the same markers? Wouldn't a compressed league indicate quality? Wouldn't the top teams not doing so well indicate quality? He's going, no, the old markers were this, so therefore this is a bad product. And I think it's the flip.
I think the Champions League proves that, doesn't it?
Yeah,
the Champions League proves the quality of the Premier League because, well, Arsenal, first of all, are far and away flying with it. You guys are probably going to be the first team to be... What's your final game in the Champions League? Sorry, I don't know.
I think it's a 5-0 win against you guys in the final.
Right, sorry, my bad. But in a serious note, what is your final?
I think that would be the best moment of my life. A Kairat.
What, beating Liverpool 5-0?
Lawrence, if we won the Champions League for the first time...
What kind of rat are you, sorry?
Beating you 5-0 in the Champions League final.
Yeah.
You're saying that wouldn't possibly be the best day of my life?
I don't think I even had an audible or visual response to what you said there because I just ignored it. I mean, I'm sure it would be. I think it would be a great moment. I also think it would be... I think beating us 5-0, and this kind of speaks to the conversation we just had, would actually be worse than if you beat us like 4-3 or something.
Worse in what sense?
Well, I think it's better if you have a close game. A thrashing sometimes indicates that one team obviously just didn't turn up. Like I think of the Champions League that we won against Spurs.
Didn't turn up. It's not quality. It's just we didn't turn up.
Well, that's how the story would be told, is what I'm saying. And it's also the feeling. Like when we beat Spurs in the Champions League final, and obviously we've beaten Barcelona, one of the Barcelona teams, that felt like the final in the same way as Spurs against Ajax felt like their final.
Yeah.
And then we kind of turned up, and because we beat Spurs, like, they barely did anything during the game. I know that obviously we can look back and go, oh, they did have that one attack where they did that thing, and we're going to make a really big thing of it. They didn't. I felt completely nothing about that final, and the real feeling was just the sense of elation about the event rather than actually the win. Whereas you would love if you beat us in, last minute Gabriel header, bam, that summarises the moment way better, doesn't it? Yeah,
that'd be lovely. How do we get here?
Well, I look forward to it.
So do I. Point being, the Premier League is better than it's ever been, but I think the markers of what it is, and therefore I'm interested in Carlo Ancelotti coming in, the impact he'd have. That's, I guess, the point I'm making.
I also think that's what I'm looking for, is just what's the next thing? Because at the moment, I'm not satisfied by this thing. So I'm sort of going, what's the main course?
But again, it's like, what would satisfy people? Man.
Well, not everyone's going to be happy all the time. But not everyone's going to be happy because obviously, in order for one team to win, there has to be another team that loses. So that's the nature of the league. But I think
great stuff.
Even this season, but you know what I'm saying? Like there will always be someone who's losing and says, therefore, the league's bad. I have kind of come to the sense of acceptance this season as a Liverpool fan. We're not going to win the league. And therefore, I still want to enjoy the experience, and I'm trying to find what the enjoyment is.
I hear it.
My enjoyment is seeing you happy. Anyway, sorry, what were you saying about Brooklyn Beckham?
Before we go to the second,
show me the other chart
round of fixtures, I want to talk about this. So this is from A&LTAF. I'm even going to bring it up on screen, Laurence, because if we're looking for it,
if this is one of those butterfly charts, and you just go, what do you see?
What do you see here, Laurence?
There they are, your heroes.
Do you see Pep Guardiola? Is that Isidore?
Yeah, I do, actually. Wait. No, that is it. No, I know you're asking, but to me, I do see a door, yeah. You could say, that is a door. Go
on. This stat...
You thought that was awkward.
Shut up.
People
in the sort of...
Good.
In the fine margins of football thing...
Yeah,
I think this is really interesting. So this is A&LTAF's data on scoring first over the course of the Premier League. If you were Mikel Arteta and you were sat in your office going, I need the fine margins of football. That's Pep. Yeah. Hey, guys, I need the fine margins of football, guys. Wouldn't you look at this and go, okay, overall, in Premier League history, the team scoring the first goal in a match will end up winning far more often than not at 68.8%. but recent seasons have seen a rise in the number of games won by teams conceding first. Okay, so yeah, it's maybe, and again, that's another indication of being more competitive. But still, let's say 65%, something like that. This is the results after scoring first over time in the Premier League. Why don't teams prioritise this more? If that is the case.
Because, what, you mean scoring first?
Yeah.
Which team do you think is not prioritising scoring first?
No. But as in...
Let them go first on this one, lads. We'll do the second one.
We're not going to try in the first half. No, but as in like...
Can I also just say, obviously, they probably mentioned this in the article, but obviously the team with more quality is probably more likely to score first, so it is a little bit of a weighted thing. Of course. But they probably say that in the article. Yeah.
Of course, but like that's quite a big data swing. So...
Yes.
And I remember, like, for example, Arsenal 22-23, we come out the blocks absolutely firing, and the game was won by like 30 minutes.
Jurgen Klopp, yeah,
he
did that. So
I think there's something there's something in this. You know what I mean?
I get what you mean. What about and it's definitely, I think it's part of the story of this season, and I think it's been part of the story of Mikel Arteta for quite some time, right? Like I remember going to the North London derby at Spurs when you wore your black, red and green kit. Was that last season? Was that the season before?
Yeah, it was the 1-0 Gabriel
scored the header. Yeah.
We had like
he scored first, and it absolutely deflated the whole stadium. The whole stadium was into it, and suddenly but you get my point. Like it completely took the wind out of their sails, and for so long there was nothing. Spurs didn't really respond.
But this is interesting because, like, in terms of breaking, I know people mock us for the set piece thing, but in terms of breaking games open, and in the light of this data, like how important that is, I'm sure I think actually even on that guy's page he said like breaking games open, set pieces are like one of the most important things to break games open. Yes. It's massive, and I think if you so 70% of the time after scoring first you win, let's say, and then you prioritise set pieces. That's a pretty good like why aren't Arsenal being credited? But because it does break games open quite consistently for us.
Well, I mean, it's also, I think it's something which, in the same way as you guys have applauded corners for years, I think we underestimate the psychological impact of just constant threat. And I think a lot of teams would have seen set pieces as sort of breathers in the past, or kind of moments when they're, I used to think of set pieces under Klopp as this great opportunity to counterattack, because I knew we were good at winning the ball in the air, and I knew that we were very good at distributing to the guy at the top. You probably think of it in the same way with Arteta, where you think, it's just relentless, and it must make the game feel absolutely relentless.
Yeah, I guess.
But then the first scoring thing, obviously it's weighted, but I think also there are so many games now where it's so close and it's just so measured. You probably, as an opposition player, think, how are we going to score 2 against this team?
Yeah, that's true from a defensive perspective. We are by far the greatest team the world's ever seen. I mean, that's kind of...
You finally made that chant relevant.
Probably stole it off you. Sunday.
I think it's one that you didn't. Yeah, go on.
We came up with that song. Brentford at home to Nottingham Forest.
We came up with the Olé song as well.
Crystal Palace... And you invented red, and you invented round balls, etc. Crystal Palace at home to Chelsea.
We actually used to play with white shorts.
Newcastle United
more
at
similar
home.
Than you think.
Aston
more than you
Villa,
know.
More than you know.
Yeah.
The big one, Arsenal at home to Manchester United. The Monday night fixture is Everton against Leeds. Newcastle Villa will be interesting. I'm quite excited for that.
Guys, this guy's made a career out of doing this, by the way.
Doing what? Just saying. That'll be good.
Newcastle Villa would be good. Yeah. No, seriously, I do think that's a really exciting 5-hour span. I think Newcastle Villa, especially with where Eddie Howe's at, I think it's pretty well weighted, especially considering midweek they got the massive win. I also think Arsenal Man United, are you a little bit worried that there is a bit of a like, I mean, I know maybe you're not worried. Are you a little bit worried that Carrick's going to come and go, have a bit of that Middlesbrough ball? No? What?
I mean, this is Manchester United, do you know what I mean? So maybe. But I don't think they'll be allowed to play at the pace that they played against City. Do
you think the City thing's a bit of a new manager bounce, bit of a misnomer?
I think so. We kind of discussed this a little bit. I did a preview with Abs Busquets on the Cannon podcast.
Great guy,
genuinely, and his Derek Ray impression is fantastic.
Exceptional, yeah,
it's really good.
It's probably his strongest stuff.
Ouch. But I
mean in terms of impressions.
No, you hate him.
Not in terms of overall stuff.
You hate him. And I just don't think the way that it felt very much like coaching 101. Overload to isolate, rondos in the middle, triangles, run off the last line. It was a lot of like that, and I just don't think. I think the ideas were very obvious, and you can't do that against us.
Then why did it work against Pep Guardiola?
Because he's a fraud. I have a point I want to make.
Is it also because confidence is a thing?
No, confidence isn't a thing. No. They're robots.
Okay, right.
They're robots,
right.
And they when you put them in the half spaces. Bam. I want to make a point.
Will you guys do fireworks for this game, do you think? Do you do fireworks in the Premier League?
Probably, yeah. We might make
do fireworks in the Premier
League pre-match hype video. I haven't been asked to do one of those, which is a shame. I don't think...
as in to contribute?
I think the Arsenal media team probably look at me and go, he's not going to get anyone up for a game, is he?
But I also wonder if maybe there is sort of like a... What would you say, just if you are to audition for the team, what kind of things would you say which you think would inspire them now?
Can you give me like
just off the...
Give me a prompt.
Guys. They'll do for some weird reason, the Pirates of the Caribbean music.
Yeah. Guys, you have to go out there and try to win the game, guys.
Will you do the accent in the video?
Yeah. Here is a light bulb, guys. Here is a light bulb. Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, guys.
Can I just ask you, have you ever done ChatGPT doing an impression of someone else?
No.
Right. I'm going to do it here, continue this, and I'm going to read you what ChatGPT tells me afterwards.
Right? You want me to do the impression?
No, I just want you to continue with what we're actually talking about.
I'll discredit Villa quickly, and then you can do that.
Villa
are 13th for big chances created. No, hang on, I'm making this up. And I can't even look that up on FBref. There's something like 13th for big chances created and something like 9th for expected goal difference. Basically, they're mid-table for a load of big stats. And I understand the whole, XG's nonsense that Morgan Rogers said. But there's a reason Villa, I never really take them seriously as title contenders. Because I understand you can outperform metrics for a little while, but it always comes back. Their goal difference is 8. They're winning games by the skin of their teeth with passion and mentality. I've never... Unai's game model has never felt sustainable to me. It's so much about playing through the centre of the pitch. There's so many turnovers. And maybe I'm an Arsenal fan kind of going, you don't play like us, therefore you're not good. But I think the metrics speak for themselves. The objective stuff speaks for itself. And I never quite buy them as real challengers.
So what you can do is you can ask ChatGPT. I know I've probably killed a rainforest for this. You can ask ChatGPT to write something in the style of the other, a YouTuber.
You can do it for me, the different knock.
Have you done it? Have you done this
Jamie did it once with me.
Jamie did it for you, right?
Yeah.
I just got them to. I said. Write an inspirational speech for Alex Moneypenny, brackets YouTuber, to deliver to the Arsenal team in his style, which he would deliver on the day of the game. I put, it must be in his style.
Go on.
It said, here's a speech written as Alex would actually say it. Emotional, grounded, direct, unapologetically Arsenal.
That's my new channel name.
Unapologetically Arsenal.
I guarantee, Laurence, there is a podcast called Unapologetically Arsenal. Hang on.
This isn't polished PR talk. It's belief spoken out loud. Guys, these guys have absolutely nailed this guy.
Belief spoken out loud is amazing. Yeah, there's a podcast called Unapologetically Arsenal.
Okay, so first of all, and I bet it's 3 sassy middle-aged mums.
What's wrong with that?
Is it? Nothing's wrong with that. That's just an observation.
What's wrong with that?
Right. He goes, lads, before tactics, before shape, before anything else, I need you to hear this. This is very like your intros. Every single person connected to this football club has been on a journey with you. Not a highlight reel journey, a real one. One with setbacks, one with doubts, One where people laughed, questions, wrote you off, and yet you're still here. If you weren't, I'd be
on
really
£350,000 a week employed to do it.
And yet here you are, Brooklyn. You could deliver this to Brooklyn so far, and all of this would still be applicable.
Yeah, you buy it.
This is literally just generic.
People are going to be annoyed that we've used an AI.
Why would they do that? You do it for your thumbnails all the time.
I literally don't, but okay.
I know. You earned your place in this room, training ground by training ground.
Training ground by training ground.
And that's why ChatGPT is just better. Game by game, moment by moment, when it would have been easier to hide, but you didn't. And this is where now you get inspirational. Look around. You are doing the Mikel Arteta thing at this point. Not one passenger, not one bloke who doesn't belong.
Bloke.
Do you ever say bloke?
I don't think I've ever said bloke in my life.
Bloke?
Geezer.
You're not carrying his theory today.
His theory.
You are creating it.
You're not carrying his theory.
Outside that door are millions of people who don't just support this club, they feel it. And then it goes on, blah, 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 blah. I'm a bit disappointed by that.
Do you ever think, like, because all motivational speeches sound the same, they kind of become demotivated? Like, it's not this, it's this. Not this, yeah. It's this. And you're like...
There was definitely an agency for a little while that wrote a lot of podcast adverts because they just did the same adverts for every company. And I just remember thinking, what are we doing, guys? What's going on here? It was just horrific. And it was clear that ChatGPT or AI had just done it.
Most Laurence McKenna take I've ever had.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Talk to me about FB Ref.
I'm gutted about this. Can't lie. I'm really gutted about this. I don't actually know the full context, which is how all podcasts should start. I half read a thread about it. It's something to do with FIFA. Someone in the comments will tell me. It's something to do with FIFA trying to sell the data in a different way. So I don't think it's FB Ref's fault.
In what way?
Just a different way, Laurence.
Yeah.
And I think it's a massive shame because I think giving football fans access to relatively high level data is really, really important because it stimulates conversation, gets people interested in the game, it solves debates. It means I win debates often, and that is the goal of debates, is to win them.
Just because other people don't have access to the same data or the level of analysis
other people aren't
as
smart as me. That's how I live my life. Just sort of assuming people are stupid. Just for the one person who thinks that I'm being serious, that's a joke. There's always one. Do you know what it is? I realise sometimes because I assume, obviously a lot of people listening to this aren't English, so.
Oh wow!
No, not.
Is that a problem? Is it?
As in the sarcasm.
Yeah. It's cultural references that you're making that they, on a day-to-day basis, won't be in contact with, and that's nothing to do with any fault of their own. It's just completely the fact that you two live in two completely different countries. Because sometimes people infer that it's someone's fault if they don't live or do live in a certain country. Why would they even come into your brain? Because very often people try to make it about whose responsibility something is when actually it's not their responsibility at all. They're just living their own lives and trying to get through day to day. And actually, we should just be more empathetic towards other people instead of making fun of billionaires and their kids.
He's good at this. He keeps bringing it back. I bet the last line of the pod is going to be something about Brooklyn Beckham. It better be, because it's good.
I hope so. Yeah.
What was I saying?
Mine.
I just...
You were saying FB-Ref.
Yeah, I think it gets people into the game. It keeps people engaged in the game. It generates conversations around the game. It makes you informed. It makes you know what you're looking for. Sometimes with a player, if I've never heard of them at all, what I'll do is I'll look at them on YouTube. I'll look at them on Y-Scout. Look at them on FB-Ref. I'll look at them on like SofaScore, whatever. Try and watch them in some games. It's part of the picture to go, oh, their aerial numbers aren't particularly good. I'm going to watch them in the air specifically. Oh, that doesn't really match up. Or it does. Or it just builds a kind of more objective view of players.
A wider picture.
Yeah, and I just think it's a shame. I just think it's a big shame. And it won't be perceivably a problem in football culture, but I think it will muddy the waters of football dialogue.
I think it definitely felt it, as with most things, there's an epicenter to where the blast is. So I think impacts some people who use it as a day-to-day sort of tool. And over time, obviously, people see the quality of your videos decrease. And, you know, they'll probably notice that.
The videos will like get shorter and shorter and shorter.
The videos get shorter and shorter until you just go, I think he can tackle.
Welcome back to...
And that's it.
I'm so glad he's signing.
Yeah. Oh, good. You'll come closer to the quality of my video, and I think ultimately people notice that.
Yeah.
And in the end, probably just disengage.
Do you just
anyway?
Do you just turn the camera on and just
free associate?
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly. Yeah. So you've not seen this before. So I think my point is, I think it's a massive loss to a community, but I also think it shows again how tone deaf the people at the very top end of the game are, that they have no idea probably of the impact they're actually having, because I don't think they even know that this is. Can you imagine Gianni Infantino has ever watched an analysis video of football?
Good question.
No is the answer. Do you think he's ever sat down and gone,
oh, you've even got it through the stirrups?
Yeah, I play around with it in nervousness.
That's embarrassing.
Well, I've just done a training session.
Yeah, I can't. Well, I thought. I mean, I doubt he's ever watched a TDK or Laurence McKenna video. Let's put it that way. I mean, would he have stumbled on a James Allcott video? Maybe.
I think he'll probably have been suggested it.
Yeah.
I think maybe through the Premier League. Maybe.
That's what I mean.
Like, there was one time I was in a press conference with Rory Jennings of Chelsea fame.
What did you say about that?
I don't know. And Conte was in there. And Conte, when Rory asked a question, said, "Oh, you're the man who did the video," and then described the video to Rory. And I was like, "Oh,
what was
is that
the video?"
Good?" It was a matchday vlog, I think, of something that Rory had done years ago. And Rory sort of went, "I'm not sure you have seen it." And then Conte went, "You made it go really fast." And Rory went, "I did use time lapses." And he was so happy that Conte had actually watched the video that it was a thing. But I thought to myself, where's Conte? Not that I thought it was very valid that he watches Rory's videos, but I thought to myself, where has Conte found the time or the inclination to go, Chelsea match day?
Yeah, but these
vlog?
guys, they must be on. Like Declan Rice, objectively, is on TikTok and Instagram or whatever. So
but I met Curtis Jones the other day, and he acted as if he'd never seen me. Go on.
I can't believe that just came out your mouth.
No, it's just funny though, isn't it?
My assumption is that the Arsenal players have never watched any of my videos. That would be my natural assumption.
That's correct.
However, if I'm doing 1 to 11, firstly, like one of my major goals.
Oh, you think they care? Do you think they want to see that?
I'm not saying they care, but I'm saying if you're making content about a club, and you're saying Arsenal, you're saying their names, the algorithm will show it, at least to like the girlfriends and the friends or whatever. Do you know what I mean? That surely they must see a lot of it. I'm not saying even me. They must see a lot of this stuff. So the managers will.
Who do you think? I think it does. It definitely helps. I think a lot of them probably watch a lot more entertainment stuff than they watch football stuff.
Yeah, almost to switch.
So they probably know Chunks or Harry Pinero and those kind of guys than they would anything else.
But like, you know,
also because I wonder whether they look at what we do and go, "Oh, that's cute."
How many people do you reckon? Like, almost. And I would love them to watch like a TDK video and break down how wrong I am.
That would be such a fun thing to do. That would take it to an analysis guy and go, "How close was I?"
Yeah, like if you could, I don't know, you
like GeoGuessr.
Pick a video from like 23-24 where you're analysing something because you obviously won't do current stuff. And be like, where was I? And you're nowhere near. How many of the staff at Liverpool do you reckon have watched Jack Mate's video about you?
Good question. I imagine quite a few because it seemed to be suggested to quite a few people for quite a while.
Continually.
But I think that was probably, continually. And it seems to still be now. So it's kind of like a constant point of anxiety for me when I meet someone that they have seen that video and think that's like indicative of my personality. But it's mainly anxiety because I think, God, that guy really nailed me.
I don't think he nailed you. I think, do you know what it is? I mean, yeah.
No, go on, please.
I think I've said this to you before. I think, firstly, I think comment sections have like characters. They have like almost like the first couple of comments come in and then like someone will see that the top 5 comments of this, I'll add to that, right? I don't think it's necessarily indicative. It's like everyone jumping on something. It's not indicative of how people really feel, I don't think.
In general.
And half of them can't spell your name. But also, I think people who... I think, and we said this before, I think people would misunderstand you quite easily. If they don't realise your sense of humour, it could get people's back up. But I think that's on them.
Could get people's back up.
But that's on them because they've misunderstood. No, and you don't have bad intentions. It is, but
no, I didn't have bad intentions on that particular day. But I do think what I do think is a lot of people probably, and this is the same with this is why I feel, when people, there was that viral clip of Arne Slot the other day in the Liverpool fans where he said, well, they've only won 2 titles in 30 years. And a bunch of people went, how dare he disrespect the team? And I said, oh, he's Dutch. So he just speaks in a very frank way. Yeah. And I think if you said that in the Netherlands, they just go...
It's a fact. Yeah, literally true.
Whereas English people go, how dare you bring up our deficiencies? And I think that there's a cultural aspect to it as well. So what I mean is it's very easy online to misinterpret someone and then, profit massively off their...
Yeah. No, for sure.
Off that. So I imagine, 700,000 views probably made quite a lot of money on that video. Probably just donate it to charity or something.
I think you know the exact number. It's actually 886,000.
There you go. So that's going to have made him quite a bit of cash. And at the time, I think I was called irrelevant at the end of that video, but they did use my image in the thumbnail. So that's crazy, isn't it? Funny that. And all of this is a joke, mainly because also very over it. But then the other day, it does trigger me sometimes because someone sent me a thread the other day that they'd rolled upon on what's the platform, the one with the little robot? I'm not on it, but Reddit.
Oh,
Reddit, right. And they went, I found a thread about you. And I was like, thanks for that. And it was all about how I'd said something about the video that Jack made.
Right.
And the comments broadly were just there going, I don't like him anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
And I thought, thanks for sending me that.
Yeah, that's nice.
They went, found this. So you want to see it? I went, yeah, good.
Yeah, cheers, bro. Someone sent me this on Instagram the other day, which, it is objectively funny.
Can I just check if it's about, is it about you?
Oh, more than you believe.
Yeah, good. How did we get from FB Ref to this?
Can you see that? That says, the boldness is coming, curly-haired boy. And he was... No, but I was like, Fez. You just put, sorry, Alex.
Wow.
Is he wrong?
What would you...
You know what I mean? Sort of, you can see
I think you're all right.
The wing
holding
back,
up.
The wing backs are there.
40, that's a fine higher line. What'd you say,
Alex, I know you're trying to be realistic and factual.
Milk, no sugar.
Realistic and fact, but it really doesn't help spreading tension and propaganda within the club. You give them credit to then tear them down. What is the basis of your narrative, of your shows? Be more positive so the fans actually go away and think, let's get behind them and not focus on the negatives.
It's not your responsibility to G other people up. And we've already seen from ChatGPT, you're rubbish at that anyway.
Terrible. Anyway, This is quite a negative end to the show. I don't like it.
I don't think it's negative. If you don't have access to information, I think broadly within the international community right now, the idea is to remove access from regular people to information which would allow them to make objective decisions about the things that they see and consume in the media. And actually what they want us to do is become more passive consumers. We flagged this years ago, but we continue down the slippery slope and here we are.
You can tie this into Brooklyn Beckham. You can do it.
Ultimately, most things are a sideshow to distract us from the bigger goings-on of the world. And sadly, I think social media and celebrity very often are used in that way. And that is why a media degree is worth it.
Media literacy.
I didn't do any literacy. I can't spell. But I do think media literacy is really important. And I think... that's really important. FB Ref, I think we will only really see the implications of this in the years to come. And there is a really interesting story that I got told years ago, or I heard on a podcast, about when wolves were removed from a forest in a national park in North America. Okay. So one of the big national parks, right? And what they noticed was that over time, the species of trees the amount of deer, or whatever the American equivalent of deer is, the movement and the amount of shift in the flow of the river changed because they removed one species of animal from that forest.
The river changed.
Yeah, well, ultimately, the amount of... So they were saying that the amount of plants that were eaten by the deer had an impact on how much of the soil became dislodged.
Ah, I see.
And therefore, the impact of where the river was hitting and the amount of mud that it could take away from that part changed. And I'm always taken back to that whenever I think of something like removing FB Ref or the change in the ownership of TikTok or any of these things.
Yeah. But in years to come, Laurence, whenever we're losing a football debate, we can just go, the loss of FB Ref.
But ultimately, is there not another platform you can use? Is there not another? Is there not another way of funneling the stats or something?
Yeah, there's it will just have to pull from different places. But you know, it's kind of. We're back to, you've got to have a Disney subscription, a Netflix subscription, a TNT subscription. You know, that's where the world's going.
Yeah, that is kind of the sad aspect of it. Yeah.
We'll try and do this every week, but you're a busy man, so.
No, I'd love to do this every week. I think it should be just a regular thing.
Can you say that more sincerely?
No, I think you should. I think we should be more regular. I'd love to be more regular.
Yeah.
Eat a banana.
Yeah. We get the potassium. This will be...
Are Arsenal still top of the league by the time the weekend ends?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, because no matter what, you are top of the league. Yeah.
Okay.
Are Man City dropping away? Were they ever there?
City will be there.
I don't think Man City were ever there.
City will be there towards the end of the season. They just signed Gehi. They just signed Gehi and Semenyo.
Do you think it's significant at all that Pep is now the only manager to have spent over 2 billion, or do you think that's just an arbitrary stat that people use to get at him? And by the way, it's not 2 billion in his entire career; it's 2 billion since he came to City.
I'm trying to end the show.
I'm just saying. I think that's a pretty big stat, don't you?
And
that Jurgen Klopp isn't even in the top 10 managers to have spent in that time. Just saying.
Right. Subscribe to the Alex Moneypenny channel. Subscribe to the Laurence McKenna channel. We'll be back, hopefully, same time next week. Depends whether Loz just decides not to turn up or something.
I'll be there.
And we'll talk about football and anything in between. What should we call the podcast? Alex and Loz talk about football and everything else?
I call it Alex and Laurence for now.